What's going on? This is Shamus back again with the Educate to Elevate podcast. And you know, everybody out there that listens to the podcast, I promise you to only bring people that add value. Not only do they add value, these are people that I trusted, I did business with. So I got my good friend, Tommy Holt Jr. from Atlanta, Georgia. Tommy, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man? What's up, man? Thank you so much for being on here. Let me set the record straight, though. I'm from Jersey. But I live in Atlanta right now. You gotta represent. You know, Jersey gotta represent.
Yes, sir. I'm from the Bronx. Everybody knows. Like in the last joint I did, I got the New York fitted hat. You know I'm Yankees till I die or whatever like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's crazy. Like, you know, me and you, we always have these deeper conversations. We could even start off like that. You know, what I noticed is like I watched your growth. You know, it wasn't really until about 2 weeks ago that I looked back on my Instagram stories and seeing stuff that I had posted. And now I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think when we're in the grind and we're in the hustle, we never get to see the process.
Yeah.
Because it's always the next level. So what do you feel like growing? Because I've seen you grow a lot just in the last year, going digital and stuff like that. What has been some obstacles that you had to get over, and like what type of mindset shifts you had to implement to really get there?
Yeah, man. Over the last, like the time frame that me and you have known each other, 3-4 years, you know, the personal development this journey that I've been on, I've just most of the money that I make, I go back into trying to invest in growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a $12 book. You can't see it off the side here, but you know, there's books all over here, right? Sometimes it's a $12 book. Sometimes it's a $20,000 mentorship, right? But I didn't go from $12 book to $20,000 mentorship. I took incremental steps. And I think one of the more important things that we have to do, especially now, same as like where you're at right now, like the platform that you're on right now, and kind of, and I know for you don't feel like you've made it, right? But for a lot of people that have watched you grow, they're like, yo, you done made it, right?
Thank you.
So I think the main thing to understand when I was going through that journey, because I was looking at people and identifying that they made it, is understanding that they didn't start off there, right? And telling the story, like what you just said, looking back on Instagram, I think that's fascinating because social media is a time capsule. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like when you're posting stuff and you're documenting the bad days and the good days, that provides some validity to the person that's like, okay, do I want to buy into what Shamus is selling me?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to buy into what Thomas is selling me? Well, let me go back and look at his time capsule called Instagram or Twitter or whatever you're talking, or whatever that social media platform is. Let's go back and look at it and see where he started from, right? And so having stories like that from my mentors, some of the same mentors. Me and you both have some similar mentors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going back and be able to watch their journey and allow me to buy into what in my mind was still a lie, that, hey, Thomas, you're going to be successful. Tommy, you're going to have this type of lifestyle. You're going to have this type of home. I had to kind of lie to myself, or what most people would look at as a lie, in my head and in my heart, to make myself keep going, you know?
Yeah.
And so understanding that process, bro, is monumental. Your mindset of where you take this thing is monumental. It's what makes or breaks you.
Yeah, it's funny. So last week I was out in San Diego, right? And I stopped in with a bunch of friends and everything. And I expressed this. I was actually with my man Jordan. And I told him, I'm like, man, it was about 16 months ago, I seen him post a picture of the mastermind with like him and Chris Jefferson and Max and all of them. And all I said was like, man, I need them to be my friends. I need them to be my friends to help me level up. And then I'm there with all of them, and I'm just like, I'm in the moment. I'm like, I'm not even gonna lie. In the beginning, I was like, I don't belong in this room. And then at the same time, I heard God say, you're in the room because you're supposed to be in the room. That's why you're there.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of times we say that we don't have mental blocks and we don't have self-doubt. But just like you said, like, until you're there, you're like, it could not happen. Like all of this can go away tomorrow. I could be right back living in a car tomorrow. I think until you get there, you're never going to be satisfied. Like, okay, I look in the bank account, I got a couple of M's in there. There's no way I'm backtracking. I think that journey is just a hard journey to take as an entrepreneur because we're never satisfied, bro. We're never satisfied.
Yeah, and you know what? I've stopped trying to get to the satisfaction. Like
Mhm.
I don't care about being satisfied about with the goal. I just made a post the other day, man. I'm just saying like, I'm really falling in love with the pursuit.
Facts.
Uh,
Facts.
the pursuit is now the goal.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It used to be the Lambo was the goal. It used to be the high rise in the middle of Buckhead was the goal, right? And it's like now I just look for a new challenge. I want to
Yeah.
chase something. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Like I like when you can trick yourself. And when I say trick, I use that in a saint word because it doesn't feel you want the goal. Like in the beginning
Mhm.
stages, like I just want to have the M's. I just want to have the car. I just want to have that specific, significant other, right?
Mhm.
Like you're always after that goal. So, but you hear people like yourself, you hear people like Jordan, you hear people like Max, you hear people like, Carlo. Hear all these people say, no, you need to fall in love with the process, fall in love with the
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
And you don't want to. Your spirit is like, no, I want to fall in love with the goal.
Yeah,
You know what
facts.
I'm saying? I want to fall in love with money, that money. But
Facts.
so you have to trick yourself into just say, okay, let me be coachable. I think that's one of the things that, you know, uh, I don't know if that's just something to learn or whatever. I think definitely a trait God has helped me with is if you can prove it to me, if like you can show me that you're doing this, like, okay, I'm going to say, all right, Tommy, this person is obviously here for a reason. Shut up.
Mhm.
You think you know what you know something. You obviously don't. There's a learning gap there because you're
Yep.
not there. Do what the person says. If it don't work, cool. Take it as a grain of salt. Move on to the next one. And so for me being coachable, I think I've had to when they told me, "Hey, stop thinking about what you think is going to be right. Just do what I tell you to."
Mhm.
Right? And I'm like, "All right, let me do it."
Fair facts.
And then tricking myself into thinking, "Damn, I'm supposed to be in this room."
Yep.
Now I'm supposed to have that type of car. I'm supposed to have that type of relationship. I'm supposed to have that type of a house. And then I started because I'm starting to think, man, I'm about to get into this whole brainwave thing. I know me and you talk about this
Uh-huh.
stuff all the time, man. It's
Mhm.
like this is beyond tactics. This is beyond post this Facebook page on this page 3 times and make $10,000. It's beyond that. It's the subconscious level of do I belong here or not? And
Facts.
as soon as your subconscious buys into that you belong in the room,
It's
right?
life changing.
You have no choice but to actually act like you belong
Yeah.
in the room. And
Yeah.
when you act like you belong in the room, things just happen, man. It just like I don't know why today I just made passively an extra $4 or $5,000. I don't know why,
Mhm.
right? But it just happens. Like the girl called yesterday. She wanted to do something for 2,500. Cool. She sent it out. Sent the agreement today. The Amazon store. That I'm quite sure we'll talk about, right?
Mhm.
Another extra $1,000. So these things start to happen because I feel like I belong. They're
Yeah.
supposed to happen to me.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
facts. But that's something like you said that comes with time, like going through certain stages in your life where you kind of realize because you got to think about it, man. Where we come from, the success that we're chasing is not there. It's not there. So you
Yeah,
really look at it, and what's super important to me is I think that as an entrepreneur and a family leader, that is your job to change the trajectory of your family. Like
absolutely.
nobody did it
That's
behind
what I,
you. Ain't no millionaires in my family. Nobody did it behind me. I don't expect nobody to come after me and do it. Like once you break that cycle, everything changes. Because like you
yeah.
said, you proved it. Like, hey, I got to a millionaire. I broke the generational curse. Our family is never going to be the same again. So what do you think about that?
Oh man. I mean, I think I've gone on record and said this so many times. If you are just out here doing this for you and your family, and I want to do this for my kids, the typical stuff,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
If you're doing that, number one, you're most likely going to fail because that's the normal response. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm doing it for my family. Yeah, but
Mhm.
when it gets tough, all of a sudden, family don't matter, right? And you quit. But number two, it's extremely selfish. Like I'm not doing this just for my family,
Yep.
right? I'm doing this for my block, for my neighborhood,
Exactly.
for the schools that I go visit. Like they need the reason why we have such a hard time buying into why a black man or a black woman can be the president of a black owned bank or a principal owner like I am of a black owned bank. The reason why we have so much such a friction point of stopping us to wholeheartedly believe that I identify with that person, that can be me, is because of other selfish people who didn't actually go ahead and put the effort and act on the God given talent that God has given them.
Amen.
Those people that just left their talent, me and you,
Mhm.
both believe in the Bible, right? Even if you don't, that whole parable about the king that gave the 1 talent, the three
Mhm.
talents, and the seven, right? And then ones that had the 7 talents, they took it and they multiplied it and they invested it and they brought back more. And the person who had one was like, "Well, I only got one," and he dug a hole in the ground and hid it,
Yeah.
and then brought back one talent. Right? That's typically what has happened in our community. It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I got this job. I'm gonna hold on to this job. I don't want nobody else to come into this job. I don't want to lose my spot in line." Right?
Mhm.
Instead of, no, I'm going to get it. I'm going to kill this thing. I'm going to put you on. I'm going to put them on. I'm going to put her on. And so I think we're in this space now, podcasts like yourselves, like yours, like the platforms like that we have, where we're showing it and we're giving out so much
Yeah.
free information, and we're not doing it to gloat. We're doing it to blaze a path to show you that, listen, look at me. I look like you,
Mhm.
right? I've had certain things happen in my life just like you, maybe not the exact, but we have some things that are very similar. I can do this thing. I don't have a college degree, or I have a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree, right? I don't have a PhD. I don't have a master's. Me and you are very similar. We can
Yeah.
do this,
Yeah.
right? Look at this. Principal. Like, I never in a million years thought I'd be the principal owner of a black owned bank, or one of the principal owners of a black owned bank,
Yeah.
without a college, without a 4-year degree, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
off of hustle and work. You know what I'm saying? So this era that we're living in is an amazing. And if we don't take advantage of it right now,
Yeah. One
you
hundred
know, I
percent.
don't know what else to
It's definitely so. Like me and you are similar as far as like not being selfish in a sense of we have to do this for everybody that comes behind us. Like growing up, tell me a little bit about like you growing up, how you grew up. Was there any pivotal moments in your life that made you say, and I'll share something with you that I shared with my guy Arnold today, that made you change and like, listen, this can't go on. I have to do something different.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, first, I was blessed to grow up in a two-parent home.
Mhm.
Proud to say that. My mother and father were great people, um, and they raised us well. Right? My father worked for Exxon Mobil up in Elizabeth, New Jersey. We lived in Plainfield, New Jersey. My mom, I remember mom was working a couple of jobs. She used to do daycare, and then she was a CNA at night,
Mhm.
a certified nurse's assistant. So she'd work at a nursing home at night, and then work during the day until she finally was able to go to college and be able to get and graduate college. She graduated college sometime in I think, her 30s,
Okay.
and became a teacher. So blessed to have a loving home, two-parent home, but still was influenced. I mean, you know how it is. It's like you go to school. I went to one of those schools where you had to walk through a metal
Metal
detector, and the
detector.
police inside the school. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so you're around that. I'm literally around that environment more than my home environment.
Mhm.
At least waking hours. You know what I'm saying? So, and being an impressionable man, just getting into stupid stuff that kids do. Breaking into homes. I never really was the person to sell too many, as far as drugs or anything like that. But I remember selling guns. You
Mhm.
know, just doing stupid stuff. So a pivotal moment for me was that a group of some just stupid beef, right? Kid beef that, like, nowadays I'd have just been like, this is dumb for us to be even arguing about.
Yeah, yeah.
Got out of hand, and the group that I was with was like, yo, we gonna get him. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm in the back seat of this car, and I'm like, yo, we really about to go shoot? I'm like, nah, we're not doing this. Like, this ain't,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like it hit me like, yo, you come from a good home. Like, this is not you. This is clearly Tommy trying to fit in.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what hit me and gave me that clarity in that moment. So, I gotta get out. I gotta get out this car. They're like, what? You checking it out? You pulling it out? I'm like, yeah, bro, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like, this ain't.
Facts. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they didn't do anything either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that moment, I think, was important for me because who knows? Maybe I was the catalyst for them all to change their mind.
Yeah.
Maybe they were all feeling the same way,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But who knows what would have happened with that, man? But it's just those things like that. Unfortunately, in our neighborhoods where we grew up, a lot of that's what happens. It's like it's good kids, good people
Mm-hmm.
that are just put in the wrong position, in a position that is not designed for any child to be in. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we're expected to make adult decisions as kids, and we're not there yet. Like literally, physically, mentally, neurologically, we're not there
Yeah.
yet,
Yeah.
right? There's
100%.
actual science that states that. So, these are the things, man, that I think a lot of kids that grew up from where we're from that they go through and they get hemmed up in.
Yeah, a lot of them. It's funny that you say that. It was a situation one time with a couple of friends I used to hang out with, and we was going on coat robbing sprees, right?
Hmm.
Stealing 8 balls, Sherilyn's.
Yeah,
So I remember in my old neighborhood in the Bronx, we ran up on this kid to take his 8 ball jacket, right? The kid,
yeah,
the kid would not take the jacket off. So my man pulled out a 38, put it to his chest, and pulled the trigger, and it jammed. But the funniest
what?
thing is the day before, he had shot it to make sure it worked, right? So when that happened,
Wow.
I was like, yo, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, for a jacket? I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this no more, right? So nobody got hurt. The kid kept his jacket. Boom. A couple of days later, they're like, yo, come with us. We going back down to the Bronx to steal another jacket. I'm like, bro, I'm not doing that no more. Like that kid could have got killed yesterday. Even though I grew up in a bad area, I'm like, I know taking somebody's life for a coat is not right. I'm not doing it. Bro, I kid you not,
Yeah.
Tommy. They went down into the Bronx. They tried to rob a dude for a jacket, took the jacket from him. The dude hopped in a cab, started chasing him, right? So as he's chasing the van, the cab is chasing him. He pulls a cab driver out. He's chasing him. Behind him, some cops started chasing us. Well, not was chasing them,
Hmm.
bro. My man opened up the back door and opened fire, bro. Like the A team. Wind up
Wow.
getting like 5 years. I think it was 5 years or 8 years in the feds, bro. But that very night before, I'm like, bro, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not trying to do that. But the thing is, I think in situations like ours, nowadays, I think for kids, it's different because you could look online and see role models and be inspired. It wasn't like that for me. And I'm sure the same way it was you. It was a rapper or a ball player or a dude in the hood that was trapping.
Yeah. Facts. Facts. And it's like, you know, society wonders why there's so it's such a hard thing for people from those areas to
Mhm.
connect with, right? It's like, what else did you expect? This
Exactly.
that wasn't by accident. That's by design. You mean to tell me two school districts over, and I'm not going to call it out, two school districts over, where it's a predominantly white area, you can get all these financial literacy people to come through. You can get all
Yeah,
these
man.
other role models that they can identify with, but we can't find one or two people during the course of the year to come by and just say, like, that looks like us, that we can identify with. You can't put nobody in place. There's nobody out there
Yeah.
that can come in and relate to us and speak to us on that level. The only ones that are coming to us is the fire department, right?
Facts.
And like, a coach or something like that.
Yeah.
But we're looking at, like you said, we're looking at, Yo MTV Raps, and they're making all this money. The firemen ain't doing that.
At all.
And so as a child, it's marketing, right? Like kind of going back into, like everything is, they're marketing is great for what they're trying to do society wise, right?
Yeah,
It's perfect for destroying the black community. It's
100%.
perfect for keeping us and capping us off at a certain level. It's perfect for us not believing in ourselves enough to be owners of things.
Mhm.
They're doing their thing. So what are we going to do? So if we
Yeah.
understand that, what are we going to be doing to change that narrative? And I think that's where it falls back on people like me, people like you, who have felt that and can one on one look a kid in the eye and relate and say, "Nah, I know it. I'm not just saying I understand how you feel. Like I know how you feel. Like I felt that way before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
My teacher did call me stupid and told me I wasn't going to amount to it. Like I know what that feels like as
Same
a
here.
child,
Same
right?
here.
So it's up to us. It's up to us to make sure that we do these things. And I think that's why conversations like this are definitely needed, man.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's crazy that you say that, but when you start looking at like, I don't want to get political and everything, but when you start looking at the system, everything like we was talking about even parts of areas where they're trying to come in and take over those areas just so they can take ownership and take ownership from the people in the community, right? And
Yeah,
we don't see it if you're not conscious about it. Everybody used to say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theory theorist." I'm like, listen, man, I could see what's going on. Like we was having the conversations. I was doing a podcast with my guy Arnold Taylor, and we started talking about the music industry, how like it's so designed for us to want the quick little $250,000 advance and do this, but nobody thinks that owning your royalties or your masters are going to be generational wealth for your kids. Nobody's thinking about that
yeah,
because we're like, hey, I want to get my mom out the hood. They giving me $250,000, and they
yeah.
take it, and they take it. So like it's crazy, man. And once you start to realize that, I think exactly like you said, like it's our job to spread the word and to pay it forward. Like that's what we need to do. Like we need to pay it forward. And even if you can impact one life or talk to somebody that you change the way they think, then they may be able to pass that on to the next person. It's definitely crazy. So tell me, I know you do a lot of real estate. I know you're big into marketing. Tell me a little bit about your thought process when it comes to marketing and building a brand, because we both seen each other build brands. We used to have this conversation like, man, we got to get our Instagram up. We got to do this. We got to do that. So what do you think about
Yeah.
the building a brand? Automation, marketing. Tell everybody listening that's trying to build that. Like, what's your thought process with that?
So the journey of me going into marketing, and so now I'm the chief marketing officer for Money Avenue,
Mhm.
which is a black-owned fintech, um, and a bank that a neobank as they're called, a neobank that is all through your phone, right? It's all digital. You can
Okay.
do everything through that phone. That didn't just happen overnight, right? I'm a serial entrepreneur just like you.
Mhm.
And so, but what I did see is through all these different businesses, I've owned vending machines. I've had a gym, actually, three different brick and mortar gyms,
Mhm.
which I learned a lot about running a business through that. I had an entertainment company. I had one of those. You've seen those big plastic knocker balls, like those big plastic
Yeah, yeah,
bubbles that
yeah,
people would go in there, ram into each other, and
yeah.
they fall.
You got you.
I had that. Right. Um, and then real estate, right? I've been a real estate agent since 2008. So it's like that whole process. What I realized is that every business that I was in, I was really in the marketing business. It's just what was I marketing?
Mhm.
And through the over a decade now of doing that, um, and over for like the last 3 years, really focusing on learning the craft of marketing, and how to get your message across, how to figure out who you should be speaking to. I firmly 100% believe that everybody should at least have a basic working knowledge on how to market and who to market to.
Mhm.
Those two things alone are important: who to market to and how to market. First, a lot of times, a lot of people are marketing to everybody.
Yeah.
They want to be Walmart without Walmart money. And It's very expensive to market to everybody. But if you can just figure out your niche, if you can figure out, you doing real estate, hey, I'm going to market to real estate people that are in the US that have already tried to do paid ads. That's a smaller niche than I'm just going to real estate. I'm going to do marketing to real estate.
Yeah.
So throughout this journey, man, I've realized that understanding who to market to and then the basics of it. The coolest, and I think that the one of the biggest flexes now that I look at for me personally is passive income.
Mm-hmm.
So how to market doesn't necessarily mean that you need to know all the nuts and bolts. Doesn't mean that you need to be the one behind the computer for 8 hours typing the stuff in. Especially with with technology and be able to communicate overseas, leveraging is one of the best things I think I've learned over the last couple of years because you can leverage technology, you can leverage people, you can leverage currency,
Mm-hmm.
you can leverage time, you can leverage relationships. Leverage is the equalizer if you don't have X.
True.
So fill in the blank. If I don't have this, what can I leverage to get this thing, moving in my direction?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've really been preaching now is helping people understand that if you want to make easily, easily $10,000 a month. If that's what you're trying to do, you need to learn who to market to and the basics of marketing, just enough to know the right questions to find the person who can do X,
True.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to run Facebook ads, right, for this podcast. And let's say I don't know how to run Facebook ads, but I know enough questions to ask you to get the information from you to find out who's the right person to fulfill the need of running the Facebook ad.
Mm-hmm.
And as an agency owner, I'm a manager. I'm not an actual implementer.
Mm-hmm.
The implementer is someone that I leverage overseas in the Philippines, in India,
Mm-hmm.
Pakistan, like one of those countries where I'm not just leveraging the person, but I'm also leveraging the US dollar, the strength of our economy versus their economy. So what I found is that for someone to do social media management, I can pay them $400 to $500 a month in the Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
and that one person can handle. Like I was just on one today. I can handle 20 to 30 clients. That means I can find 20 to 30 clients to do something as simple as just make 5 Facebook posts a week,
Mm-hmm.
right? 5 Facebook posts a week on their social media. They're gladly paying me $500 a piece for that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have 20 people doing that,
That's 10 right
that's
there.
$10,000,
Yeah.
right? And I'm paying this person, I'm leveraging her and the US currency and paying her 500. You see what I'm saying? So learning, not just learning who to market to and some basics of marketing, I think every business owner needs to know how to do this.
Yeah. I mean, because sales and marketing is a lifeline, even with the wholesaling. Like right now, you know, relaunching Magneto Homes, I'm spending like 20K a month, 15, 20K a month on marketing,
Yeah.
cold callers. What I did was this time around, I looked at everything I don't like to do. And I'm like, I don't like cold calling. I like to talk to homeowners once they say they want to sell. I don't like cold calling. I don't like texting. I don't like data management. So I got 7 VAs right now that takes that off my plate. So I can focus more on the process of a sale and closing the client. That's the most important thing. I told
Yeah,
my
the
son,
money making.
the money making activities. I'm gonna tell you one book. I'm gonna ask you, what's one, and I think we spoke about this. What's one of your favorite books? And then I'm gonna tell you one that I read recently that just shifted everything for me.
Yeah. One of my favorite like business books or like just books in
Books
general.
in general.
Man, this book right here. I mean, I got so many, but this book right here, man. This is called "Becoming Supernatural" by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
And what this really talks about is the main thing. Like I said, man, as I started off, everybody wants to know the tactics and the techniques and all this. But if you don't believe that it's going to work, this like that's it's not going to work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you believe it's going to work, it's going to work. If you believe it's not going to work, guess what?
Hmm.
It's not going to work. So this one was a big one. I mean, for just getting myself mentally ready. I mean, I got 4 hour work week.
That's That's a great
Who Not
book.
How, .com secret, like, Blue Ocean Strategy, like all these books that are over here. Think and Grow Rich obviously is a classic. It's just so many, but
Mhm.
this one right here, I highly recommend. I don't agree with everything that he talks about in there,
But it got gems.
but but man, like
I'm gonna pick it up.
unlocking why I think it's huge. It's crazy.
I'm gonna pick
It's
it up. I'm
crazy.
gonna pick it up. So I'm gonna give you two of my favorites. One of my favorites is Outwitting the Devil. That
Yeah, yeah.
book
I
was
remember telling you.
Napoleon Hill. At the beginning of this year, I read a book called The 12-Week Year. And what it basically says is that when you annualize your year and goals, you do yourself a disservice. Because, at the
Mhm.
end of the year, going into January, everybody gets the gym membership because everybody's trying to get fit and get right. By February,
Yep.
they cancel it, right? At the end of the year, November, December, everybody is trying to hit their numbers because you could start something in January that you wanted to finish. You get to February, mentally, you're like, I got 11 more months left, right?
Months. Yeah. Yeah.
So with the 12-week
But
year,
yeah.
it is basically saying that you have 4 years in 1 year. Like every month is a week, every week is a day, every day is an hour. As soon as I read that, I would have been able to walk past the kitchen counter and see something to throw in the garbage. Now I'm like, I don't got time to throw it in the garbage. I got to throw it in the garbage right now. Like it turned up
Yeah.
my level of urgency, but it also teaches you exactly what you said prior to this is focus on money making task, right? I was telling my son yesterday, I was like, what's the difference between somebody that makes $10 an hour and $5 an hour? I said, it's skill set. That's it.
Mhm.
It's the same 60 minutes. But you did it for $10. They did it for 500. When I hear people say, oh, it's so hard to make more money. No, it's not. Learn a skill set
No,
that's gonna pay you more.
know what that is, man. Is that, and I got this from Myron Golden,
Oh,
right?
I love Myron.
Is fire, bro,
Yeah.
fire.
Yes.
But he talks about something called the value ladder, and
Okay.
a lot of people just don't realize where they at in the value ladder.
Mm-hmm.
You got implementation, unification, you got communication, and then you got innovation.
Mm-hmm.
So implementation is the lowest
Lowest level. I
form,
seen him say that. Yeah.
lowest level on the value ladder.
Yeah.
That's the person is the implementer. They're the one that actually put the fries and the grease and they flip the burger, right? They
Mhm,
implement, or they're the ones that gets on the computer and does the actual funnel
mhm,
or creates the website. They're the ones that actually do the actual work.
mhm,
But because we can find a ton of people who can implement, it's supply and demand. It's basic math. It's basic economy number 101. It's supply and demand. I can find 100,000 people to flip a burger, so that's why your pay is only this
yep,
because I could easily replace you. Okay. Then you have the people that unify people, unification. That's your middle management.
mhm,
Those are the people that are going to be able. They probably started off in the implementation level
it worked the way up.
and worked their way up,
Mhm,
and they just know it well enough that they can now unify. They can create the schedule. They can tell you when you can go on vacation and when you can't. They can do the payroll because they've been where you were at. But guess what? They're coming from the same pool of unificators, right? I mean, I'm
mhm,
sorry, of implementers,
mhm,
right? So again, there's a lot of them available. It's not until you get that level of communication is when you really start to differentiate yourself.
yeah,
Is when you can actually convince or convey an idea to someone that makes them or compels them to want to buy something or do business with you
mhm,
is when you start to really separate yourself. So when you get to that level, I would encourage everybody work on sales, work on communication.
mhm,
That's it right there. That's marketing. That's everything. That's being able to take what's up in here, make it come out of here, so someone feels it in here.
yeah,
And so if you
yeah,
can do that, you can be a multimillionaire
easy.
without very little effort, really.
Mhm.
And then obviously being someone who's an innovator, that's the Steve
Steve
Jobs, that's the
Jobs
Jeff
to
Bezos,
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, right? Those are those guys, and girls, right? A lot of women out there, right? Those are those people that, and everybody has that. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody
Yeah,
has that. Man, I got this idea, but what it is you didn't work on this, you didn't
yeah,
work on yourself
yeah,
to say, you know what, I'm actually going to do that idea.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is not so much, oh, they're so creative. It's like, no, their their tolerance for taking risk
Is
is probably a little bit lower than yours.
yeah, yeah.
You're so afraid of, oh, what if it doesn't work? And they're like, well, what if it does and I don't do it?
Facts. Yeah.
That's what's going
Yeah.
in their head.
Yeah.
They're
Mhm.
like, what if this thing actually works and I don't do it? That's what keeps them up versus, oh, what if it doesn't work?
Mhm.
And that's the difference between a real innovator and someone who kind of stays and plays on the sidelines.
Yeah, for sure. Like everybody always talks about Elon Musk. Oh, he's making all his money of Tesla and everything. I'm like, but one, do you know how many things he probably failed at before he did there?
Hmm.
And I just finished reading his book. When he cashed out on PayPal, I think he got 160 or 180 million, right?
Hmm. How much money you put on it?
He dumped 100 million into SpaceX. He dumped 60 million into Tesla and 20 million into this solar panel company. And they said
Yeah,
after he cashed out on PayPal, he had to borrow rent money
yeah.
to pay his
That's
rent.
all in.
That's that's
That's all
that's
in.
beyond all in. That's like, yo, I got to, but a lot of people, I don't know. I think he was on the Clubhouse when he was on and they asked him, like, what's some advice of words of encouragement do you have for an entrepreneur? He was like, if you need them, don't do it. I was
You
like,
need words of encouragement. Don't do it
that was, it's
because
true though.
it's a different beast. And here's the thing. Here's where I think I have a difference of opinion between a lot of other people. I honestly believe everybody, me personally, you might not agree with this. You let me know if you do. I believe everybody has the capability of being an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
100%.
I say that because a lot of people disagree. It's like, no, not everybody can do it. I'm like, no, there's a difference between not being able to do something and maybe not being the most talented to do something,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Like, it's not that I can't, well, physically right now I can't dunk a basketball,
Okay.
right? But it's not that I couldn't teach myself to do it. Is it a lot easier for 6'8" LeBron
Of
James to be
course.
able to dunk a bump? Absolutely. He's talented in that area beyond measure, way beyond me, right?
Mhm,
But can I not do it? No, it's not that I can't do it. I'm just not putting enough into it. And is it easier for LeBron? Absolutely, it's easier for him because he's talented in that specific area.
mhm.
Does it mean that I can't do it? No. Can I not fly? Yes. There's no way I'm
Yeah,
flying,
yeah,
right? So there's a
yeah.
difference between not being able to do something and maybe not being the most equipped to do something. But the
100%.
people that maybe are not equipped, if you have something in here, if you have something, a hunger or a burning desire in your heart to actually accomplish that goal, then you'll go over it. You'll become obsessed. It's not until your wants
Mhm.
and your desires match,
Yeah,
will you be able to actually achieve something great,
yeah.
right? If you're not 6'8", you can't dunk a basketball, and you're not the best shooter like Steph Curry and all these other things, you can still do it. You just gonna have to work harder for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting fact: 120 years ago, 90% of America were entrepreneurs.
Mhm,
You didn't go to Publix to go get your milk. You went to the dairy farmer who owned his cows
mhm,
and gave you the milk, right? You didn't go buy new shoes from, Louis Vuitton or wherever. You went to the cobbler
mhm.
who made the shoe there. Like, that person that you bought the shoe from was the business owner. 90% of America was entrepreneurs. Are you telling me that over the last 120 years our DNA has changed, our physical makeup has changed to the point that we can't be entrepreneurs? No, you've just been taught not to
Mhm.
be an entrepreneur because it's in the best interest of the United States government for you not to be an entrepreneur because you get taxed at a different rate. They make more money off of you.
Yep.
They keep you employed, working, building their dreams. And so it's better for them, not for you not to step into that role of being an entrepreneur. But it's 100% up to you.
Exactly, and I totally agree with the entrepreneur because even somebody that has a 9 to 5, what they don't realize is when I go to my job, I am selling him my time.
Absolutely.
That's a business transaction
At a discount.
at a discount. That's a biblical principle. If you go back in the days of the Bible, like you said, everybody was traded and bartering, and they just
Yeah.
kind of they got us to think like, to dumb it down, security is going to be if you come work for us for 40 hours a week and then you work until you're 60 years old. And then what winds up happening in corporate America, when they got the young person that could come in that's more talented or could do the same thing, you're out of here. So by you going to a 9 to 5, you're selling your boss 40 hours of your time. That's a business transaction,
Absolutely.
you know, and
Absolutely.
they don't see it like that. I just read the book. It's the business secrets of the Bible. I actually Myron recommended it, and that's what he says. It's
Yeah.
like, God wants us to serve. Just imagine if everybody stopped serving people. The world was shut down. Nobody wants to pump gas. Nobody wants to transport the gas. Nobody wants to go pick the groceries up, put them in the supermarket. God made all of us so we can serve each other. And it's
Mhm.
like it's principles. I tell people the best business book you could read, if you can understand it, is the Bible,
Mm.
because they break everything down about how he made things and how he wants us to serve people. And when you start to implement the strategies in the Bible, like customer service, and like you said,
Yeah.
taking care of the person and making sure that they
Another
win.
spurs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything changes for you. Everything changes for you, But that's crazy, man. We could sit there all day and talk about the system and stuff like that because you know I know you do a lot of Airbnb. I see you got courses and everything. Tell us how you stumbled on Airbnb and exactly like what you teach and what you do and everything.
So the Airbnb stuff kind of stumbled upon that doing wholesaling,
Okay.
right? So we were wholesaling houses, calling a ton of people. Um, and then some of those people were landlords, right? And some of these landlords were like, nah, I don't really want to sell, but I'm looking to rent. And I'm like, I kept on running into that.
Mhm.
And then I was watching Grant Cardone. He used to have a podcast. I don't know if Grant Cardone still does his podcast or not, but he had some guy on there talk about how he did Airbnbs and how he would, just essentially approach landlords and ask them, "Hey, would you like to rent to me on a commercial lease?" And I'm like, man, I run into, we're calling thousands of people,
Mhm.
as wholesalers. Like, man, I run into a lot of landlords that don't want to sell but want to rent. So let me just try this thing out. Let me see if a landlord will allow me to rent it and use it as an Airbnb. And it was actually a lot easier than trying to get someone to wholesale their home. So I kind of stumbled upon it by I guess being just open and aware to other how to solve certain problems.
Problems. Gotcha.
And so that's kind of how that kind of happened. And through the years, I got to the point where I ran it as a business, as actually having Airbnbs, which I got up to about 13. Um, but what I found out is that like I had so many people asking me to find the Airbnbs for them
Yeah.
that in itself was its own business. I no longer do it anymore as far as like
Mhm.
finding Airbnbs for them because I'm really 100% focused on my marketing and my software company and obviously the
Mhm.
bank.
Mhm.
But I mean, it goes back to what me and you were talking about earlier before we started on this. You know, any stream of passive income, you're winning. Like if you
Yep.
can do something where you can go to sleep and wake up and there's more money in your bank account than when you went to sleep, that's a win. So if
That's a
it's
blessing.
Airbnb and that's your thing, knock that out. If it's Amazon stores, if it's an agency, if it's you managing a company and you got people in place, like whatever that is,
Mhm.
like that to me, that's the only flex. Like I don't care how much money you make. If it ain't passive, I'm not that impressed anymore, you know?
Exactly. And I tell people because everybody has a number. Like I want to get to this number. I was even telling my wife this the other day. I said, listen, if you had $1 million in the bank, and let's say you were to put it in the stock market and you were lucky enough to get 10%, you're looking at $120,000 a year. $10,000 a
Yeah,
month, you could drive a nice car, have a nice house, take a vacation once in a while. I told her our bills is almost 10,000 a month. We're living the lifestyle of a millionaire, of somebody that has a
absolutely.
million liquid in the bank, right? They got a
Yep.
nice house, got a nice car, they go on vacations. So the passive income, when you're able to create an additional $5,000 a month or $10 a month, it's kind of the gift and the curse because you get the blessing, but then you're like, you know what? I ain't got to get out of my pajamas today because my bills are gonna be paid no matter if I get up or not. So what's like the passive income? What do you do exactly with passive income? I know you're doing some automation as well. We both do the Amazon and stuff like that. What do you do other than the Amazon to automate business, and how do you offer that services to people?
Yeah, so my software is a software called Connectly,
Mhm.
where we connect people automatically. And that whole process just came from me doing marketing for real estate agents and coaches and consultants. That's where I kind of started and kind of hung my hat at. Um, and I was spending about $800-900 a month on different various softwares. So what
Mhm.
I decided to do, we took all those softwares, kind of put them together, and packaged it so that a business owner can come in there and easily connect their business, do all their text message marketing campaigns, your email marketing campaigns, your funnels, your websites, your membership courses, everything, and track everything through a nice, easy interface that where you can see your own CRM, your customer relationship management,
Okay.
so you can see everything in a glance. And so through that process of trial and error for myself, because I needed this thing for myself, right? I
Mhm.
needed it for me, for my business. We came up with this software called Connectly, and so it's amazing, man. We've done over $10 million as far as people
Mhm. Using it.
like our users running $10 million through
Nice.
um, business, and they're loving it. It's something where within a day or two, you can have things set up and you're running marketing campaigns, and you're like, yo, for the price that we're doing it for is ridiculous. So it's really leveling the playing field where for a while it used to be you had to be spending $800 and $1,000 a month to be able to do all this. Now we've kind of leveled that playing field for the average person, the average business owner,
Mhm.
to be able to get in the game and market effectively, and that's really what it's designed for.
Yeah, I remember when you
Yeah,
was kicking that off because you was explaining it to me. I'm like, damn, that's genius right there. Because like you said, you got all these different softwares out there. And if I'm spending
yeah,
800, 1,000 a month and I could cut that down to 99 or 200, 300, that gives you more
yeah.
marketing money, you know?
Yep. What people are spending on a monthly basis, they spend less than that um, for a whole year with our software.
Nice.
Like 1 month, what they would normally like, I was spending it on a monthly basis.
Mhm.
I was spending almost almost twice that. If I would have just bought it for the whole year. So definitely something that is really designed for small business owners, but not designed in a sense where they can't grow, right? Because we have companies that are doing a lot of some big numbers through their Connectly accounts. So it's an amazing platform, man. I suggest everybody take a look at it, check it out.
Yeah, I'll definitely put it in the description. Talk to me about the bank because you know it's so funny when you mention to somebody, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting a bank," and everything. Like my first question is like, how do you even do that? Like, how does that process work?
Yeah, it is a. They say it's easier to buy a bank than it is to start one, and they're 100% right. It's been well, first and foremost. Now I can't even. I always used to say 3 years, but it's actually been longer than that. It's been 4 years now that we've been a mortgage bank.
Okay.
And I can't take credit for that. I wasn't around for that portion. I got brought on when the founders decided that they wanted to really go ahead and do like a real bank where people can come in and open up checking accounts and savings accounts and generational accounts for their kids, and get life insurance and auto refinance. Like they wanted
Mhm.
to have a real all-in-one system, and that's where they brought me on board. And so that since that time frame, I've been on for like about 2.5 years working on this process of getting this to this point. We're getting ready to launch here shortly. But it's a digital bank, man. So the process is very it's a long road and very complicated. There's a
Mhm.
lot of regulation. It's very expensive, but it's not. I want to kind of guard my tongue because I need to be, and whoever is on this platform needs to be the light, I guess, shining that,
Yeah.
hey, you can do
You
this,
could do it. Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
This, the two people that started this process, that brought me on, they grew up. One grew up in Harlem,
Mhm.
right? Grant Projects. The other one grew up, I believe, was in Irvington.
Mhm.
You know, single parent homes. Like, they came from where, a lot of people can identify coming from,
Mhm.
and they were able to get to this point, but it was because of relentless hard work and just thinking that they can. So, long story short, man, that process is really just going through a lot of regulatory steps, learning that process, filling out a whole bunch of applications, spending a whole bunch of money. um, and then
Mhm.
with us, our bank is all digital. So, not only we're on your phones, just like some of these other banks are, but we're the first, not only first black bank, but first bank period ever to be headquartered in the metaverse. And so for that first bank to ever be headquartered in the metaverse to be a black owned bank is a
Yeah.
pretty cool feature, where you'll literally be able to walk in, put your Oculus goggles on, walk in as your avatar, and do real life transactions and trade crypto, and put money in your savings account or in your kids' savings account. We'll actually be able to do that in real life in real time.
That's
So really
crazy.
super innovative. And just we're thinking way down the line because this is something that our community needs. I did not know this. 30 was it 33% of the people that have money in crypto are African American,
Wow.
right? We actually, percentage wise, we occupy the largest amount of people doing crypto. Now, numbers wise, because
Mhm.
there's more people out there that are more white people out there in
Mhm.
America.
Mhm.
They still have most of it. But if you look at it percentage wise, 33%, man. And so our community wants this stuff,
Wants it.
right? And
Period.
we need to be the conduit to make sure that they have the opportunity to get it.
Yeah, that's crazy because as you're saying it, I'm like, that's showing that we are looking for a different way.
Yeah,
Like everybody's
yeah. We're
looking.
tired.
Yeah, we're definitely tired. And what's crazy is like I had like I was in church about 2 weeks ago before I went to California. And it's been two or three times in church that I got like revelations. And I'm sitting behind me and I see this couple with a little kid that I thought reminded of me, got the little nappy hair. Like I used to have the little naps and everything in the hair. And all I heard God say was, you got to help these kids. Like you
Mm,
got to help these kids. Like they need you. And I was talking to my guy Arnold today. I said, I'm one of the very few from the people I know that can sit in a room like a conversation we was having 2 weeks ago. I was in there with guys talking about $5 and $10 billion funds, and I can hold the conversation. But then I could go in a club in a bad area and they start shooting, and I'm smart enough to know how to get out of there.
yeah.
That's what separates us from a lot of other people. Because when you think about it, when you start talking about the banking system and stuff like that, none of that was designed for us. None of it.
Oh,
None of
bro.
it. It wasn't designed for
Read
us.
the filing.
Exactly.
Read the, and you'll see that it's definitely not.
And
I think I had that book somewhere too.
and that's the key is that, like people like yourself, we're looking to try to pass this information on to the next generation. But I think what's going to be the biggest struggle, like we talked about earlier, is you breaking out of it mentally. I'll share something with you. Like
Right.
about 6 months ago, I was getting my practitioner's license in NLP, right? And
Yep.
I told this to my guy. Thank you. I told this to my guy Arnold today. I was telling him I got two boys and a girl, right? Me and my wife got two sons and a daughter. My daughter, I let her get away. I let her get away with murder. Like I couldn't even yell at her. She would cry. I'm like, that's daddy's little girl. And the boys used to
Yeah.
always be like, you're much harder on us, right? Me and my sons, a lot of times we bump heads, right? Especially as they get older. we bump heads. But as I'm sitting NLP, I'm thinking about a lot of different things. I said, I work better with women than I do men. I'm like, I wonder why that is. Then I put it together. My mother, single mother, grew up, she raised all four of us. I only met my father 2 times before he passed away. What I realized was when I come encounter with another man that doesn't do what he's supposed to do, whether it's any type of responsibilities, I have issues with him.
Mm.
And I didn't really catch on to that because I'm like, why? Like, why do I never really want to work with guys? I respect women. I've been with my wife 32 years. My mother was a single mother. Once my
Mhm.
father left, she never dated anybody. I never seen my mother date nobody in the 20 years that I had her here. It wasn't until I put that together and that made me say to myself, how many more limited beliefs do you really have that you got to dig into
Yeah,
your subconscious, like what you said, to really pull yourself out of it? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But
And that's crazy because when you really think about it, you're presently living in the past. Like
yes.
you're because your subconscious is still running these little plays, these little micro plays that you don't even know are happening that are acting out through emotions. And emotions are just, your endocrine system releasing chemicals into your body to make you feel a certain way. There's a reason why your heart starts to beat faster and your pupils dilate and your hair stands on end when you get scared, right?
Mhm.
Those are chemical reactions. That's something that's physically happening, which means your body is actually physically responding to something that it perceived or that's
Yeah.
going on in its head. In your head.
Yep.
And so when you think about that, when you don't act a certain way because you don't have the release of dopamine to work with a male,
Hmm.
right? And you do have that release of dopamine to work with a female, that is a chemical reaction based off of a feeling, and that feeling is based off of a thought, and that thought happened years ago. So that past trauma is now affecting your present
Yeah,
now.
man. Yeah.
And so when you understand why that, like when you can start to look at it and say, "Oh, okay, so do I want to continue to do this, or do I not?"
Hmm.
Right? Because it makes it a lot easier to grasp on why we feel certain ways when you just start to actually learn a little bit, a couple of things that you know that science has proven, that anatomy and physiology has proven, that regular medicine that's been around for years has proven. Once you start to understand it, it's like, oh, okay, so I do have a choice.
Hmm.
I might have to work on it. Like for you, example, you might have to, like you're doing NLP, right, where you
Hmm.
can start to trigger yourself, or you can move yourself from one state to the next state to kind of get over that hump. But
Yeah.
eventually, that'll be your new normal. That'll be your new homeostasis. That'll be your new even,
Hmm.
and then that will be how it manifests through your body, and that'll be how it manifests through your speech and how your mannerisms are. It's just fascinating, man, that it really does. Success, man. That's why that book, Think and Grow Rich. That's why it says this. That's why Think and Grow Rich is
Hmm.
such a great book because that's where it starts from.
Yeah.
Right, thinking a certain way is where businesses are built.
Yeah. 100%. That's 100%, man. So, like, for
Yeah.
anybody trying to become an entrepreneur, like, what type of advice would you give them?
Don't try, just do.
Hex.
Um, Stop preparing to jump and jump, right?
Yeah.
And um, you're not, think about it like this. Apple been around for, 40 years, 30, 40 years, whatever long it's been, right? When Steve Jobs had the idea,
Mhm.
right? And they're still perfecting it.
Yeah.
You really think that you will get your business perfect with $120 membership fee? You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like, it's like, stop trying to make things perfect and just start.
Yeah.
And what entrepreneurship is, taking on more risk than a normal person and figuring out problems. That's
Mhm.
really what it boils down to, right? It's like, I'm going to take on this risk, which means I'm going to put out money up first. I'm not going to just show up at a job and then expect them to pay me.
Mhm.
I'm going to actually put some money out and do the work. And because I'm doing that work and something I'm probably still trying to figure out, I am guaranteed to run into problems.
Yeah.
100%
Mhm.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
And my job as an entrepreneur is to fix that problem just so I can get out of that hole to find the next problem,
Mhm.
just so I can get out of that hole to find the next problem. And if I fix enough problems, eventually I have a business,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
And so you can't do that by trying to figure out how to fix the problems before the problems exist. You have to jump.
Yeah.
You have to just fall into it, man. And that's the biggest piece of advice I can give anybody that wants to start a business.
What's funny is like all my friends used to tell me, like, you just jump all into everything. I'm like, bro, I don't know no other way. Like, that's all I know. And I know that I'm smart enough that whatever I jump into, I can figure out how to generate revenue.
But you know what? Like, bro, what they don't understand is that you've been practicing jumping too. So they're
Yeah.
seeing they're
Yeah.
seeing the jump now,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they didn't see that. Ooh, that though. Ah, man, should I? They don't remember that part. They
Yeah.
just see
Yeah.
now. Like
Yeah.
my boy, just like I told you right before, I got into like an argument, like a love argument. With one of
Mhm.
my boys. I'm like, yo, this is a dude that I've known this cat for years, man. This is my boy. We grew up together. And, I'm not saying anything out of malice to him. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Like he knows where I'm coming from a good place. But I'm like, bro, you always stutter stepping. Like
Yeah.
when are you going to just commit?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So they're seeing you jump into this now. They're seeing you jump into the podcast. They're seeing you jump into the, real estate. They see you jump, but you've been practicing your jump for a very, very long
Yeah,
time.
man.
Right. Sometimes we just gotta remind them, yo, this I wasn't always like this.
Yeah. And you
You
know what
know?
they say? It takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
It does.
They're
Yes,
like,
it
oh, I'm
does.
like, bro, did you realize that he been doing this since 2010? Like he was like
Yeah,
Joe Rogan. I watched something on Joe Rogan today because I'm like, okay, how could I improve my podcast? I know that it's an area. He was doing podcasting. They showed some of his first episodes back in 2008.
wow.
I'm like, damn, he been in there for
I
14 years. 14 years. And that's why they gave him $100 million.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, man. You got to be expert at your craft, but you can't be an expert if you don't start.
Exactly.
And the 10 years is going to happen. It's either you're going to have a planned destiny or an unplanned. It's up to you.
Yeah,
Either
exactly.
way, it's going to happen,
Me and
right?
you operate the same way. There is no plan B. Like it's plan
Yeah,
A and it's figure out if plan A is not working in a way that you want it to work, what type of, what pivoting do you have to do to make sure that it works? Because I really believe that the only way you fail at something is if you give up.
quit. Yeah,
Yeah, if
correct.
you
I believe
quit,
exactly.
because like it's either you win or you learn. And if it's something that you're like me, like the conversation you was having with your guy is because you're passionate and you're like, bro, I want you to. And
Yeah,
I go through the same thing. I tell some of my people, I'm like, listen, man, I need you here with me. Like
bro.
I need you to come with me.
We saying the same thing to the same people.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I need you here. We can run the bag up. We can make an impact. We could change people's lives, but I need you here with me. Like, I always picture myself when I go into business or partnerships, as you know how, like, back in the days when they used to have the shootouts, they would stand back to back.
Hmm.
I'm like, that's how we are. Like, guns out blazing. You take this
Yeah,
direction, I'll take that direction. You guys take the side. And if we stay and we move in a unit, there's no way we're gonna lose.
unstoppable, bro.
You know?
But it's like we just I don't know what it is, man. Like that's the thing that I'm working on to try to figure out is how to bottle up this feeling in my chest,
Yeah.
right? How can I process this thing so on demand I can pour it out and say, here, drink this, and
Yeah.
boom, you got it,
Yeah,
right?
100%, bro.
Because the quicker you get to that point, the quicker we can start to get to the part that now that you see, oh wow, he's living in this nice high rise and
Mhm.
driving these nice cars and flying all over the place. Now that you get to see that, it's like, yo, why don't you just trust the process now? Why are
Yeah.
we still fighting over you having all this money in your account and it's just sitting there lazy,
Yeah.
being having lazy money, not earning you nothing. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, it's earning someone else a whole bunch of other money and
Exactly.
you're allowing. Why are we still having this conversation
Yeah.
at 41 years old? Like, come on, man. Like, what is the deal?
Yeah, for sure.
So I got to figure that out, man. That's my
We 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 both
that's my
gotta figure it out, bro. When we figure it out, let's just share with each other so we could try to move people forward, man. So,
absolute.
Tommy, man, I appreciate you, my brother. Tell everybody where they could find you on social media platforms. Tell them about your software program, the bank. Tell them where they could find you.
So on Instagram, man, it's at Tommy Holt Jr. TOMMYHOLTJR. Twitter is underscore Tommy Holt Jr. And then Connectedly is Connectedly app. That's on Instagram. And then please don't forget to check out our bank, Money Ave USA. So that's all on Instagram. So we definitely would appreciate your support. Please, out of all of them, definitely check out Money Ave.
Yeah.
We're going to do some phenomenal things educationally, and just some really cutting edge stuff that you guys don't want to miss out on for sure.
100%. And everybody out there listening, this is my guy, Tommy. I know Tommy for a couple of years now. And, we always had great conversations from day one. I still remember the first day we had the conversation was at the meetup with David and Max was there.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
time. And
Yep.
you was like my man Shamus, something like, yeah, Tommy is cool, man. But I appreciate it, my brother. Let me know if you need anything. I'm definitely gonna push it out there, social media wise. I'll put all your social media tags and the bank link and your software program in a description. So everybody out there listening, please check my guy Tommy Holt. This is Shamus Goss. This is the Educate to Elevate podcast. I love all of y'all. And Tommy, I thank you for coming on, my brother.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.